You planning some scheme in my house again? My mother-in-law stood in the doorway, hands on her hips, eyes scanning me like a hawk. I took a deep breath, holding my toddling daughter in front of me, forcing myself to stay calm. Mom, we've talked about this before. You can't just come over and watch the kids whenever you feel like it. That's a permanent rule. She squinted, a faint smirk on her lips. Oh, permanent rule? Last time you weren't quite so strict, were you? My chest tightened but my voice stayed steady. That was then. Things are different now. The kids' boundaries and our household rules must be respected. The air in the doorway felt taut. My daughter toddled at my feet, mimicking my stance. Mother-in-law let out a soft huff and tried to edge past me. I just wanted to play with the little one. Can't Grandma even spend some time with her? You can spend time with her but not in our house, I said, keeping my tone calm but firm, never taking my eyes off her. She froze for a moment, glanced away, then dropped her bag onto the step, deflating like a balloon being squeezed. Fine. I just wanted to help. I caught a flicker of irritation at the corner of her mouth but said nothing. My daughter ran over to hug her, and my mother-in-law forced a smile. I knew this was only a temporary victory, but at least I had the upper hand. I remembered the helpless feeling from a birthday party a few weeks ago. My mother-in-law had shown up unannounced, piling gifts, coloring books, strange pencils, even household knickknacks on the table, completely ignoring our rules. She shoved the coloring books in front of my daughter and started opening pencils. I stood between the kitchen and living room, gripping a plate, voice shaking but controlled. Mom, I don't like it when you do this. We're having dinner. She froze, apologized quickly. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to make the kids happy. But I could see the hint of provocation in her eyes, as if to say, what are you gonna do? That night, surrounded by kids' shrieks, scattered pencils and coloring books, I felt completely overwhelmed. But inside, I vowed it would never happen again, so my husband and I had a serious talk. You need to understand, Mom doesn't change easily. She always tries to control everything, I said, locking eyes with him. He nodded. I know, but I don't want to constantly have to step in and correct her either. Then set the rules, I said. From now on, she can help with drop-offs and pickups, but never enter the house. Any gifts must be handed to us at the door. Make that clear. Permanently. He sighed. Okay, I'll tell her, but I worry she'll get upset. I stared at him. Let her be upset. The rules must be enforced. In the following days, I set up a small checkpoint at home to keep track of the kids' things and daily items. Every time my mother-in-law came for pickup, I stood in the doorway, holding my daughter, blocking the way. She tried to start a conversation. Next week, maybe we can do crafts together. Mom, no, I cut her off. The rule about watching the kids at our home is permanent. She paused, as if struggling to comprehend. I repeated it several times and finally she muttered, oh, okay. Crafts on Sunday then. I nodded, signaling victory. My daughter bounced at my feet, and I felt an unprecedented sense of control. Looking back, my mother-in-law always exerted pressure subtly, criticizing the kids' pencils, interfering at birthday parties, sneaking in strange household items, packaging her intrusion as care but really encroaching on our family space. I had tried patience and smiles to avoid putting my husband in a tough spot, but the constant vigilance exhausted me. I always felt hunted, alert, never truly relaxed around her. One memory stood out. My daughter's second birthday. I had prepped everything, invited friends, and my mother-in-law appeared at the door with a giant paper bag. I got gifts for the kid, can we open them? My chest tightened. Mom, this is a private party. We already have gifts planned. She calmly placed the bag on the table and started unpacking. Look, this pencil case, this picture book, this. My husband looked uncomfortable. Mom, let's stick to the plan. She raised her eyebrows, smiled slightly. I just want to help make the kid happy. The party's rhythm was ruined, friends awkward, and my daughter distracted by the new things. I felt completely powerless. I couldn't lash out without seeming unreasonable. From that moment, I realized patience and smiles alone couldn't protect our family's boundaries. I needed to take control and enforce clear rules. I established strict household rules. Mother-in-law can only pick up and drop off at the door. She cannot enter without invitation. Gifts must be handed over at the door. No exceptions. The first time I enforced them, I saw immediate results. Mother-in-law stood at the door, trying to charm her way in. Sweetie, can Grandma paint with you? I held my daughter in front of me. Mom, this isn't where you watch the kids. The rule is permanent. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, but I cut her off. No need to explain. You can spend time with the kids but not in the house. Her eyes flashed with frustration and anger, but she stayed at the door. Previously, she could tear through our boundaries effortlessly. Now she was powerless. My husband stood behind me, finally understanding that protecting our family required sticking to the rules. He nodded slightly, a silent agreement and commitment. Subsequent attempts to bypass the rules were met calmly but firmly. When she tried to hand a gift to me inside, I grabbed the door handle. Mom, the door is fine. Not inside. When she tried to take the daughter directly, she needs rest, she can't play with Grandma every time. When she complained about strict rules, The rules aren't punishment. They protect our kids and family order. No exceptions. Each confrontation stripped her of power, moving her from arrogance to confusion, helplessness, even trembling. I ignored her emotions, focusing only on enforcing the rules. Once she tried leaving gifts and odd items inside while I was out. My husband stopped her. "No. This house isn't open for you to enter whenever you want." She fumed. "You're so strict." "I'm just grandma." He remained calm. "This is our boundary. You must respect it." She huffed, placing the gifts at the door silently. I watched, feeling control and victory. I realized this calm, forceful counteraction was my form of revenge. Not confrontation, not emotional outbursts, but clear rules and enforcement to make a long-time manipulator feel powerless. What she once used, subtle provocations, gifts, boundary crossing, now bounced off an immovable wall. With each rule enforced, I gained psychological freedom. I could move through the house with my daughter, arranging activities at will. Every interference attempt met the rules, her responses shifting from provocation and contempt to confusion, helplessness, even silent pleading. My husband also grew through this. He saw that family order and principles outweighed coddling his mother. No longer hesitant, he enforced the rules consistently, standing with me on pickups and gift exchanges. I watched my mother-in-law at the door, gifts in hand, powerless and anxious. Everything she wanted to say was suppressed silently by our rules. At that moment, I realized this wasn't just about protecting the kids or the house. It was my long-awaited, measured revenge. I was no longer the tense, anxious woman she once intimidated. I was calm, in control, enforcing boundaries, and responding to provocations with quiet strength. She had once shredded our boundaries effortlessly. Now every attempt hit an unyielding wall. Helpless, frustrated, even silently pleading, she had no leverage. I didn't react to her emotions. Rules and actions spoke for themselves. I held my daughter, watching the breeze through the window, the house peaceful and warm. Mother-in-law stood outside, defeated and powerless. My husband stood behind me, nodding slightly. Together we defended our family's boundaries and executed a quiet but powerful revenge. I knew this was just the beginning. Every attempt she makes will meet the rules. Every time my husband considers caving in, he must weigh family interests first. It won't be easy, but I'm ready. The rules are the fortress protecting our home, not paper that can be torn down.